Okay, hi guys. Welcome to the Inspired Youth Summit. I'm really excited to get to know you all and learn about your experience during COVID. I think we should maybe start off with some introductions, maybe how old you are, where you come from, and what year you're in, and maybe some of your favorite activities.
So I'm 18. I'm from Portugal. I live near the seaside. I'm heading to university now, so I finished high school, and I intend to study international relationships. I'm into international politics, more on a humanitarian level. So for me, being here with people from different countries is very, very nice, even very, very interesting.
Hello everyone, my name is Oda. I am 15 years old. I'm from Bavaria, which is in Germany. And I really like reading and mostly about things that concern our world right now, how it is in the current state, and things about the environment, and just learn about the things that are current topics.
Yeah, that's correct. Hi, my name is Wong, but you can just address me as Ling. I'm 14 years old this year. I'm currently in year 9, but I'm transitioning to year 10 in September. And hobbies of mine can include singing. I enjoy playing the piano, and I enjoy reading.
Hi, I'm Thalia. I'm from the UK, but I lived in Malaysia for about 9 years, but I moved back here a couple of years ago. I've just finished doing my GCSEs, which is a bit of a mess because of COVID. And in September, I'm going to do my A-levels at college. I'm planning on studying physics, maths, and geography. I don't really know what I want to do, but I do want to make a difference somehow.
My name is Rasheeqa, and I'm going to year 10. My hobbies are photography and reading, and I'm 15 years old.
Hello, my name is Andrea. I am 18 years old. I am Italian, and I just graduated from IB. And since I don't know what to do next, I'll be taking a gap year in Denmark, as I have lived there for 2 years and I really like it.
Yeah, hi, I'm Megan. I'm from Ireland. I'm 16 years old. My hobbies include I do a lot of sport and a lot of drama and acting. And in the future, I really want to travel to experience different cultures and meet new people.
So I'm Francesca. I'm 17. I'm going to be 18 in a few weeks. I just graduated high school in Denmark. But my mom is from Canada and my dad is from Italy. And I'm really excited to speak with you all today because I think COVID was something so weird and so out of the ordinary. And I think we all have a lot to say, especially because we're from so many different places around the world. So let's get started then. The first topic we're going to talk about are exams and assessments. So my first question for all of you guys is, what was your school life during COVID?
I believe mine was actually a very tough and tiring experience. However, it was an experience that I will cherish forever, as I can use those skills that I have learned during COVID and online classes in real life.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely learned a lot of skills as well with technical stuff to even just how to cope with studying by myself. And yeah, does anyone else want to say something?
Well, I think the situation in Germany wasn't as difficult as in other countries around the world, although Bavaria, the place where I live in Germany, had the most COVID cases. And well, in online school, the most terrible thing for me was the Wi-Fi connection. I don't think the studying or anything, learning new things was that difficult, but if the connection doesn't work, it is nearly impossible.
Yeah, that's very difficult. Rodrigo, would you like to say?
I was just saying that learning, you cannot compare the way you learn at home and the way you learn at school. It's completely different. And if you would only rely on what you learn at home, it wouldn't be very good for the exams. Here we have national exams, so you couldn't rely only on the things you have learned during homeschooling. So in that level, it was not that good. But in many other ways, because it was different, a completely new experience, it was very, very positive, because we explored things that we would never explore if this didn't happen.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree with you. Mariam, do you want to introduce yourself quickly and maybe talk about your experience in school during COVID?
Hello, my name is Mariam Saeed AlKaabi. I'm from the UAE, and my experience with online learning was pretty difficult at first, but as time passed, I've dealt with it, and I realized that I can't change anything, so I might as well continue learning and trying my best. And it taught me different opportunities. I did face a few challenges with managing my time, but it gave me ability to work under pressure, which was a very good thing.
Yeah, nice to hear from you. So my question, second question for you guys is, which I personally had a lot of trouble with during COVID. How did COVID change your exam assessments or how you were graded? And how do you feel about that?
I was doing my GCSEs. I did them. They're like the national exams you do when you turn 16. And we were already going through a lot of confusion. So in 2020, I was in year 10, so we weren't doing our actual exams. But when we went into year 11, we were told you're definitely going to be doing your exams. You just have to go back over everything you missed on online school and kind of build yourself back up to do the exams. But then we hit December, and it was kind of like a step back because the government was like, okay, we're closing schools again and you're not having exams. And we were like, okay, so we're not having exams. And then a few months go by and they're like, oh yeah, you might be, like, we're still not sure. And I think a lot of schools handled it very differently. And my school gave us 2 weeks of notice for 6 weeks of exams. So it was a bit chaotic. They were constantly saying, yeah, it won't be like actual exams. It'll just be a small little test, but then they were actual exams and we're getting graded the same as we would in our normal exams. And we still have to wait for months to find our results. So it's been really stressful and hard to like keep up with. And obviously all these massive U-turns are really draining.
Yeah, for sure. I completely relate to you. My exam assessments were horrible. They kept us out of the blue. And it's really unfair for the students, especially COVID was not a normal time at all. And it had a lot of effects mentally, I think, for a lot of students. It definitely wasn't fair. Definitely needed to be listened to more as well to the students. Does anyone else have anything they would like to say about their exams?
Yeah, I can say something positive, because my experience is positive, I believe. Here in Portugal, we have like 3 major courses. Like you have science, economy, and humanity. And I went to the science path. And you have mandatory national exams. You have chemistry, physics, biology, geology, mathematics, and Portuguese. And because of COVID, the government said, okay, these exams are now optional. You can do them if you need them to get into university, and if you don't, you can simply just don't do them. And that was actually very positive because, for example, I said in the beginning, I'm into international relationships, which is more of an economy or humanity subject. So the fact that they allowed me to choose which exams I would do allowed me to do an history exam, which is completely out of my course. I didn't have a single class of history, but that was positive. Of course, the grades kind of went to the roof because only the good students would do the subjects they wanted to, the national exams they wanted to, but it was a positive thing here.
That's really good to hear. I'm glad you had that good, positive experience. I think it was really important during this time. Hopefully other countries will implement something like that. Does anyone have anything they would like to say? Anyone else?
Yeah, I have to do my checkpoint this year. I just finished year 9, but we didn't have to do checkpoint because of COVID. We were told that we would do checkpoint in term 2, but then COVID got worse in Malaysia and they canceled it. So how our school dealt with it is basically we got more projects. We had to do many projects so that they could get marks because our school didn't really do online tests. They just gave a lot of projects for the marks.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Would anyone like to say anything, Oda?
Yeah, well, it was quite similar for me because luckily I wasn't in a final class, so I didn't have to take any online examinations. We only had some tasks we had to hand in during the lockdown, but after that in April, when we came back to school, we only had to help some hold some presentations or maybe do a group project or something like this, but it was all done really fairly, and the teachers took their time to explain us the things. And now there will be special additional lessons too, so the exams won't be spared next year. And I think it was done quite well in Germany. There's a lot of mutual assistance too, because students teach other students too. And there wasn't this whole stress thing of the exam. So it was more focused on actually learning than being tested all the time.
Yeah, it's good to hear that Germany had a good dealt with it. Good. I want to know, what improvements would you guys have made for your own assessments during COVID? What do you guys think would have been fair for those who didn't feel like it was a positive experience? Thalia, maybe do you want to say something that you would have changed for your GCSEs?
Yeah, I definitely would have. Honestly, I don't think that they were really needed because the whole point of us sitting the exams that weren't like exams was to get evidence for the grades that we were going to get. But in the past 2 years, we'd been doing tests like every few months just to see where we are. And everyone at my school thought that would be like enough evidence. So we were just like, okay, well, maybe that's enough. We're not sure. And our school, they kind of didn't say anything for a few months and they weren't open with us. And when we started to sit these final exams, they were just constantly saying, no, this isn't like an actual exam. It's just like a little assessment. But it's being treated the same as exams. So I feel like a lot more clarity would have been needed, especially for like, I was quite lucky in the way that I didn't necessarily fall behind with online school. But I know a lot of people that did, and they really struggled with the idea of doing these exams that weren't really exams, but they were exams. It was just a very confusing experience for everyone. So a bit more clarity would have been greatly appreciated.
For sure. I had the same experience. Maybe Andrea, do you want to say something about any improvements you would have made or how you felt?
I mean, one improvement I would have for sure made was, as a school, I would have taken a stance and say, okay, if this is the worst we can get, worst case scenario, this happens, and it doesn't change. Well, the situation of COVID improving and then getting worse again, and then improving again, of course, changes the evaluation the schools and the governments and in our case, the IBO makes. And so, yeah, taking a stance and months before and saying, okay, this can happen and this will happen. And no matter what, this will not change. So that at least you have some kind of certainty on which you can base your studying, your life, and also your future path.
Yeah, especially I think in COVID it was so hard. It was a very tough year, I think, for everyone, even school aside. So I definitely think schools should have been more, well, some schools definitely should have given more guidance to their children, to their students. Mariam, did you want to say something?
I think exams shouldn't be really important. They shouldn't have as much of a mark in our final grade, because studying a whole book for like 20 to 25 questions, and everyone has their own way of explaining it. And all the exams are multiple choice, and each one is 7 grades, 5, and all that. So it just doesn't really seem fair. And that is what I didn't like, especially because I was in my senior year of high school. So it was pretty difficult with all the anxiety and stress about it. And the multiple choices were easy, the questions were easy, but sometimes my emotions get to me and I just fall apart in my exams. So I don't really like that.
Yeah, it was hard. It was definitely hard. Does anyone want to say anything else about exams and assessments, or do you guys want to move on to the next topic?
I myself also think that exams shouldn't be a priority and shouldn't be worth the marks it is worth in our own grades in our school. Because since our school didn't require us to on our cameras when we are doing a test, therefore you wouldn't know if someone is cheating or if they're not cheating at all and searching things online and using cheat codes. So someone can be studying for hours on end and get the same answers as people who can just easily get the resources online. So it wasn't really fair in my opinion. So I also didn't think that exams should be something that is extremely prioritized, especially with our situation right now.
Does anyone else want to say anything before we switch?
I would like to say that, but this is not a thing that is due COVID. It's actually, it comes from way before COVID, and I think exams shouldn't count as much as they do, because you're basically labeling students, labeling kids as numbers, and they only worth what they get at school, and there's so much more value to people than simply what a piece of paper says about them. So I think that definitely that should have changed, and COVID only came to make it more clear, more evident that that needs to change. There's more value to people that only what they get at school.
That's true.
Yeah, I agree with Rodrigo in the sense that exams also only test a certain kind of students. Like, people learn in many different ways and they demonstrate that in different ways. And exams are almost kind of unrealistic for the real world, because in real life you're supposed to apply that knowledge in like a useful way. But doing a paper for 2 hours, like, that's not realistic. And someone could be doing really, really well at school, but if they wake up and they're having a bad day on their exam day, that counts for 60% of their grade. So it's kind of unfair in that sense as well.
Yeah, especially for me, I had the same thing, and it was my senior year as well. So I had so much pressure to do good on this 1 hour, 2 hour exams, because that would decide what type of school I could get into. So yeah, it definitely is a problem that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so in Ireland, in secondary school, you do 6 years of school, and in third year and sixth year, you do an exam based on the previous 2 years of school you've done. And when COVID started, I was in the third year, which means I had that exam from the last 2 years, and it got cancelled. But they cancelled it very last minute, so we were studying the whole way through, and then they cancelled it, and then they kind of just used our previous tests as what we have done in first year and second year, but we were all preparing for so long that we were kind of ready. So when we go into sixth year, we won't really have a full idea of what the exams were actually like, because we didn't really sit them properly. But yeah, it was a different experience, but it wasn't very bad. It was okay. But I think schools could definitely have done a better job by appreciating how much students like gave for online school and everything, and kind of listen to them more with the exam situation, what they kind of would have wanted.
Yeah, I definitely feel online school took a lot more than regular school. Like Rodrigo said, it definitely was not the same thing as learning in a classroom. And for a lot of people, it was a lot more challenging than just going to a classroom. So I definitely feel like it should have been valued a little bit more, especially in the final markings.